Shanghai's roads, parks, and shops hummed back to life on Wednesday. The financial hub ended its strict anti-COVID lockdown for most of its residents after 2 long and trying months. But more than 2 million people are still stuck at home, and the after effects of the citywide shutdown are taking their toll. Let's take a look.
People cheered in Shanghai's French concession in the early hours of Wednesday after the city finally released most of its 25 million residents from a strict lockdown at midnight. Some people gathered with friends they hadn't seen in person for 2 months, champagne in hand. Others wandered the streets just to be outside.
I feel a bit of social anxiety. I haven't seen people on the street for a long time, outside of people from my community compound. I'm excited but also a bit confused. I'm worried I'm not quite used to seeing so many people.
As daylight came, Shanghai's streets, parks and shops hummed back to life. But for some, the allure of a return to normal quickly faded.
Things like losing jobs and family members because of the pandemic in the past 2 months have been forgotten in this split second. Actually, I feel sad deep inside.
China has gone against the global consensus that COVID-19 cannot be decisively defeated and has imposed a zero-tolerance policy to stamp out any outbreaks. During Shanghai's lockdown, many residents of the country's key financial and economic hub struggled to get food or medical care. Families were separated and hundreds of thousands were forced into centralized quarantine facilities. Despite criticisms that its zero-COVID policy is unsustainable, China is sticking fast to its goal of cutting off every infection chain at any cost. Life in Shanghai is not quite back to pre-COVID normal. Residents now have to test every 72 hours to take public transport and enter public venues. And those who test positive for COVID-19 and their close contacts still face difficult quarantines.
Despite the easing, many in Shanghai are still wondering how far the city still has to go before getting back to normal. According to Bloomberg, lockdowns outside areas labeled mid to high risk of infection have mostly been lifted, meaning over 22 million out of the city's 26 million residents are now free to leave their homes. According to Shanghai authorities, 20 new cases were spotted in the city on Tuesday. Because of China's history of underreporting infection numbers, NTD cannot independently verify that figure. According to Reuters, Shanghai residents are still required to wear masks and socially distance. They're also now required to show a COVID-19 test result from within 72 hours in order to enter public venues. That's down from the earlier 48-hour requirement. Dine-in restaurant service is still banned, while 3/4 of business capacity should be restored. Schools largely remain closed, with exceptions only for certain grade levels. But with Shanghai opening up, the financial hub is facing a different kind of problem: termites.